This is ARC PDX.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to ARC PDX. I'm Wesleigh Ogle, and we begin with the hottest topics on our feeds right now. Let's take a live look at the Moda Center. Multiple reports say that the Portland Trail Blazers have a new owner. Tom Dundon, owner of the NHL's Carolina Hurricanes, is leading a group to buy the team for more than $4 billion. That is the fourth most expensive sale in NBA history. A member of the new ownership group has ties to Portland. Sheil Tile is the co-CEO of Collective Global Management. His wife is actually the director of the Oregon Health Authority. And until we officially hear from Tom Dundon and his ownership group, there are still a lot of questions about the team's future. So we are diving into the deep end and digging into all of your questions. Joining us this morning is Berger, host of the award-winning podcast Sports Business Radio. He also used to work for the Blazers in the 1990s. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Brian.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Of course. I'm very excited to talk to you about this. I want to know, what was your initial reaction when you heard this news?
We had heard that the Blazers were going to be sold, so this was no shock. We had not heard of this specific buyer, but that's how these things work, is they happen in secret. They're not played out in the media, and you wake up one day and your favorite team has been sold to someone that you might not have ever heard of before. But, this is someone who owns another team in a market that is similar to Portland, the Carolina Hurricanes in Raleigh, Carolina. So I think there's a lot of positives with this sale, and certainly $4 billion, like you said, one of the most expensive sales of an NBA team ever. So the league has to be happy with it as well.
Yeah, so you were just said one of the most expensive. Is $4 billion a fair price for the team, you think?
I think it is. I had said on my show I thought it might be a little bit higher because it was an auction scenario. But I think the NBA's got to be happy with it. I mean, look, this isn't New York or LA or Chicago. So to get $4 billion for a small market team is a win for the NBA, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I just saw that the Boston Celtics went for $6.1 billion. Honestly, it didn't sound like too much more than the Blazers' $4 billion. So I thought that was a pretty good comparison. Brian, Dundon already, as we've been saying, is the owner of the Carolina Hurricanes. So is owning multiple teams common? Is that a good sign, or do you see that as a bad sign?
I think it's a good sign. It shows you have experience running a team. It's not easy to run a team. It's a unique job. You've not only got to run the team, but you've got to work with the other owners in the league. You've got to work with the league itself. So he knows how to do that in the NHL. I'm sure he's going to figure out how to do that in the NBA. He's involved in pickleball. He's involved with Top Golf. He's got an interesting portfolio. So I think he's pretty diverse, and he's young. He's going to bring some new, fresh energy to Portland and to the organization. But what's really key here is they've got to get a new or heavily renovated arena done. And I think that's the next step here, is the Board of Governors has to approve this. So that's all the other NBA owners have to say, yes, we want to welcome Tom to the club as an NBA owner. And then after that, he's got to get to work with leaders at the state level and the city level here in Oregon to get a deal done for a new renovation. And the way it works now is it's not just about building an arena. It's about building real estate development around the arena that's thriving even when there's not an event night.
Interesting. Do you know what options are maybe available for them? Because we know that Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, also said last month that he would thinks that the Moda Center needs to be redone, or we need a new arena. What are their options?
Well, so an anniversary is coming up. I was there when it opened, October 13, 1995. Wow. So we're coming up on 30 years of the Rose Garden / Moda Center. And there's been talk that it could be heavily renovated. I'm not sure that's going to work. You could do something kind of like Climate Pledge Arena has done in Seattle, or you do a whole new arena, and people have talked about the Lloyd District as a possible location for a new arena, and that area really could be interesting as a footprint for not only the arena, but living quarters, restaurants, hotels, and other thriving businesses.
I mean, even before talking about renovating the arena, arena or getting a new one, one of our biggest concerns and from fans was that the Blazers would be moved by whoever bought them. Now, this group is reportedly saying that they want to keep them in Portland. But Brian, can we believe them?
I think you have to believe him for now. But I think, if this was a game of poker, this is Portland's to lose, right? If Portland comes back to this new owner and says, look, we can't help you at all with funding for a new arena or real estate development, then it becomes an interesting question. Does he pay for this all out of his own pocket? Does he try and fundraise in other ways by taking on other investors? Or does he say, look, I can go to this other city and they're going to roll out the red carpet for me and they're going to pay for a new arena? So there's a lot yet to be determined. And I think we have to watch and see how that unfolds.
We know Raj Sports Group, which owns the Thorns and the Fire, they've made big investments into their new practice facility out in Hillsborough. I know you were talking about possibly, really redoing the Lloyd District and everything around the Moda Center. What sort of investments do you really think we could expect to see from this group when they come in here?
Well, I mean, the easy one is you upgrade the practice facility, right? And you look at player amenities like the locker room and make that more modern. And, those are easy things to do to get the players' attention and say, hey, we care and we want you to be here for the long term. Other things like office spaces. But, the main thing everyone's going to be watching for is the arena itself. This is a 30-year-old arena they're playing in. It's outdated by most people's standards. And, again, it's either going to need a heavy renovation, which isn't out of the norm. If you look at Capital One Center in D.C. or, like I said, Climate Pledge Center in Seattle, there have been arenas that have basically been gutted and rebuilt, not brand new, but almost brand new. So you could do something maybe on that site, but it's going to take cooperation and funding from the state and the city, and I'm sure that's what new ownership is going to be waiting to see. How much are they willing to contribute to a project like that?
And I just want to ask you, too, just from what you know about, Tom and this ownership group and their history or anything, is there anything that Portlanders, fans of the Blazers, should be concerned about?
Not that I can see. This is someone who, when he took over in Carolina in 2018, they had 9 consecutive losing seasons of NHL hockey. And ever since he took over in 2018, they've made the playoffs every year. Wow. So he wants to win. He has been showing a willingness to invest money in both the team itself, the facilities. They signed a 20-year lease in Carolina. So, that immediately removed any talk of relocation with the Hurricanes. And now he's developing land around the arena. So, you almost hope he could replicate what he's doing in Carolina here in Portland. And I think it would be a winning recipe.
Cool. That is all really positive, I think, for all of us here in Portland. So thank you so much, Brian, for joining us on the show this morning. Really appreciate your insight.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. And we create a lot of valuable content here on ARC PDX.